Hey, Dead and Phantomil here. Today, I'm gonna be talking about some more bullshit nobody cares about, because it's the only thing that makes me feel happy inside. Despite starting in the 80s, the Dragon Ball anime didn't get released in the West till the late 90s, but that wasn't the first Dragon Ball release in the US. In 1986, a video game for the NES came out in Japan called Dragon Ball Shenron no Nazo, and for some reason Bandai decided to release it in the US in 1988 as Dragon Power. This was something they did a lot in the 80s for some reason. They had a whole line of games that were secretly licensed games that they just replaced the characters with, like this game called Obake no Kyutaro, Wan Wan Panic, based on the anime Obake no Kyutaro, obviously. But no one outside of Japan has heard of this shit, so this ghost cosplaying as the jazz singer isn't gonna sell well in the US, okay? So they needed to replace him with a character that would sell well in America, that American kids would think was cool. That's when the most intelligent Asian man in the Bandai boardroom stood up and said, what about like an angel with his cock out? And then they called it Chubby Cherub. All the Jamaicans were really disappointed when they bought this and found out it wasn't the first game starring a BBW as the main character. Bro, if I was a kid and another kid told me he had a game called Chubby Cherub, his primary school life would have been over! They did the same with this one game called Muscle, except it's an acronym for something. Other English Freeview kids like me will instantly be like, bro, is that Kid Muscle from Ultimate Muscle? And yeah, it actually is kind of. Muscle is a game based on Kinnikuman, one of the best-selling manga of all time, and basically the template for all modern shonen manga. And Ultimate Muscle is like the sequel series that isn't canon now. Like, it's complicated, okay? There's probably some Mexican guy who can explain it in the comments, but this is the only game out of the line that basically retains its license in the US because it was actually a tie-in with a series of toys based on Kinnikuman. They were basically like razors, but they were shaped like naked men, and then Bandai decided to release it in the US for some reason, but then they didn't release the anime. Probably because of this guy. Then they released this. Muscle has a reputation for being the shittiest NES game ever made. It sucks. And in the US version, they literally took out the best character, the German guy who I align with politically. There's also a game called Ninja Kid, but who cares? Let's get to Dragon Power, okay? That's what the video is. First, let's take a look at the box art. So instead of Goku, you got this disabled Chinese kid with the worst drawing of a leg I've ever seen by a professional quote-unquote artist. I think my drawing of Ash from when I was 5 had more realistic anatomy. Yeah, but ignore this kid with Rambo's face and a leg that looks like he was in a horrific car accident on the way to his karate lesson. But also his mum was on thalidomide before he was born. Apparently, this Special Olympics contender is actually Goku. Or maybe he's not Goku, and maybe he's just some like random autistic kid. Because the Goku in the game looks nothing like him. He's got a badass Andre Agassi headband on, hopefully he got some finasteride too. But that's not the only change in the game, obviously. The Dragon Balls are now the 7 JO crystals, which Master Roshi uses to wish for Bulma's panties, which make him nose cum everywhere. Of course, that's very inappropriate for kids, so they had to replace it in the US version with Nora, okay, because Bulma's called Nora, with Nora's sandwiches, which, you know, that's a pretty shit wish. Like, she would probably make the sandwiches like already. Also, he looks like a Maltese for some reason. The entire shit with Roshi being obsessed with seeing Bulma's underage pussy is entirely replaced with him being interested in her sandwiches, by the way. Whether this is a sexual interest is up to interpretation. The other Dragon Ball characters didn't have their appearances changed though, even though in Dragon Power, Oolong is supposed to be a little boy instead of a pig man, possibly the result of some David Cameron-esque sex affair. Instead of the Kamehameha, Goku now uses the Wind Wave to brap all over his enemies, which is a similar form of attack as my favorite fetish game. You know, but let's talk about the story now. Let me describe the story for fucking 8 hours, like Pyrocynical. The game follows the story of the manga up to the Emperor Pilaf saga, and then the game just makes up some bullshit about an alien version of Krillin and a jungle ruled by a man named Bimbo. You may notice the title screen music sounds a bit like someone's taking a big shit in the background. Well, in the Japanese version, that was actually a Makafu Shigi Adventure, which was the opening of the anime. But they exchanged it with some Asian music, and the developer programming the game, because this game is a f***ing piece of shit developed by Fred. Yo, it's the Gamer Geezer here. It's the Angry Gamer Geezer today. I'm gonna be talking about Dragon Power on the NES. This game sucks my bell end off. This game sucks my willy until I can't. You know, but enough about that. Let's actually talk about the gameplay in this video game, because it's a bit shit. Actually, before I even talk about that, why do the sprites look like this? Why are they so shit? Like, the other Dragon Ball NES games look fine, and then there's, what is this? Even in the Japanese version, the characters don't look very accurate. Like, this extends into the gameplay, where Goku, with his crooked neck, drunkenly stumbles around this beautiful world that looks like the average street in India, shittily punching dog heads on Roombas, and real dolls with question mark for heads that transform into little girls, I think, that look like Goku when he dressed up as a girl and Oolong wanted to hit. This is during Oolong's boss fight in his sex dungeon that he kidnaps little girls to. Bit of a nonce there, mate. No wonder he hangs out with Roshi on that secret island all day. Sometimes the real doll is actually Oolong's head and it flies off though. The gameplay actually switches up when the boss fights happen, because there's boss fights, and during them, instead of that, it becomes a shitty 2D fighting game where you fight Yamcha, who literally has like 5 frames of animation, including the single one used for him jumping over your head, which has him transforming into some sort of novelty dildo. After defeating King Minos, which is Emperor Pilaf, he's called King Minos, Goku goes into space, which I was gonna say is a contradiction, because they needed Bulma to reverse engineer a Namek ship to get into space in Z. But in like the first 20 chapters, Goku just takes the power pole to the moon to put some rabbits on it. So speaking of, that's what this video game filler arc is about. Just going up to the moon and fighting the rabbits again for some reason, as if he didn't fuck them up enough by leaving them on the moon without any way to contact their family or loved ones. That wasn't enough of a punishment for them. Goku wants them dead, so he goes to the moon to kill them. However, it seems Goku has lost his ability to breathe in space. This ABDL fetishist informs him he needs oxygen tanks in space. So during this level, if you don't collect the tanks, you die or something. I don't know, I didn't get this far. I just watched some guys Let's Play on YouTube. But it turns out the reason he's up here is because the rabbit turned Bulma into a carrot, which I mean personally is my fetish, so I'm glad to see some carrot file representation here. Then you fight the rabbit in this boss fight that looks exactly out of Action 52. And Goku wins and just walks off to the jungle to get his grandpa's ball back. There's a lot of, bro, what is that? I don't know, but there's a weird feeling in my pants. Okay, they just gave up at this point. That's literally just nothing. Who the f designed this shit? Then he goes up a tower and fights a robot at the end.
Frankie, I love it!
With a ship like that, I go shopping for fruit in style anytime I want.
Hurry up and let me ride it!
But what about the French version? There's a French version, and it's actually called Dragon Ball. Apparently France is the second biggest market for anime worldwide, and that's all I know about them. Other than that's the country that make cuties. So they had Dragon Ball in 1990, I guess. There isn't actually any graphical changes in this version, even the box art is the same.
I'm taking it.
Except extended, and with blurry CRT screenshots of the characters for some reason. Is this supposed to sell me on the game? Yeah, but that's not all, because there's apparently a Dragon Power book. This was apparently a pretty common thing in the 80s for some reason. Shitting out a book based on an NES game, probably to try and get kids to read, which is weird, because I think reading the novelization of Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest would convince me to never read a book again. But I found a Tumblr blog dedicated to them, so some people must have liked them, I guess. Speaking of French Dragon Ball Z games, which I did just now, let's talk about another game for a bit to extend the video out some more. Ultimate Battle 22. This game is well known for being complete shit, but something I've never seen anyone talk about is the amazing character names in this game, at least in the European version. This game got released in Europe in 1996, presumably for those French people that seem to love Dragon Ball so much. But it also got released in the UK, 7 years before they decided to release it in America in 2003. I don't get what the point of releasing a PS1 game in 2003 is, but during that time, they decided to do a couple fixes. I got this game at a second-hand store as a kid. When I got home, I put in the disc into my PS1, excited to play as all my favorite Dragon Ball heroes. But when I put in the disc, instead of my favorite character, Raccoon, I was met with the disturbing sight of a character named Lick Cum. Anyway, this game is shit, who cares? Happy New Year, hopefully I'll post more this year. Oh, okay, bye. I need to go play Fortnite with Hatsune Miku skin now, and I got Beerus skin as well. I'm gonna get drunk on Stella Arts. This took too long, but there's gonna be more videos, okay, more videos.
What's your favorite snack to eat? My favorite snack would have to be cheese with crackers.
Run away with me, Cinderella land.
we gon' make believe. Pop 1,000 beans, pop 1,000 perks. I feel like the worst, I feel like I'm worth it. Baby, I'm so cursed, baby, I just wanna go home. Calling me